Groups E, F and D will climax today, and we're getting closer to finding out who plays whom in those knockout games. This is a good resource that I just wanted to start with. It is the BBC's World Cup page, and it shows the as it stands knockout games. So we can just scroll down here and we can see South Africa, great win. They're currently, as things stand, playing Canada. Let's stop the count here because England are playing Cape Verde. Stop the count. We can also check out the third place rankings. So these are the best third place teams as things stand. Bosnia looking good on 4 points. Remember from yesterday's video, if you get 4 points, you are 99%. They're Opta's predictions, not mine. 99% through to the round of 32. Scotland have played 3 games. They've got 3 points. -3 goal difference. And there are a few teams below them that need to play, mainly Belgium, Ecuador, Senegal, and also the Congo. Don't write them off just yet. Even Steve Clark said, I think we're going home. What a confident chap he is. He must be the life and soul of the party in the Scotland camp. Now on to today's card. It looks like this. What a set of cracking games on paper. Not all mean as much as others. I'm going to deliver insights, stats, and predictions on all of them. So, without further ado, let's get into it. And just quickly, here is the winner from yesterday's video. Well done, what a prediction. You have won a month of OddAlerts Pro. If you want to enter the competition for this video, just get your predictions in the comments for any game we mention on this video. Best of luck. So we start with Group E, that is Germany's group. Germany sitting pretty on 6 points at the top of the table. They are through, of course, and very, 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 very likely to be the first place team as well. They face Ecuador today. Very, very well set up defensively, of course. Ecuador and Curaçao and Ivory Coast battle it out for qualification. We're going to start with Ecuador against Germany, and the fact that many of those Ecuador players were crying at full time against Curaçao tells you what they think of their chances of winning against this German team. That said, Germany is expected to rotate for this one, and it's just a shame for Ecuador that rotation means we still see players like Undav, Voltemard, Pascal Gross, Nadiem Amiri, Goretzka, you know, the list goes on. These players all expected, maybe some of them certainly going to start this game. Undav, of course, the hero in the previous game and always a good selection for a goal or a shot on target. Ecuador hard to break down at the worst of times. So many clean sheets in recent times, but they are also struggling to score goals. Not just in this competition, they've scored 0, but across the last 12 to 18 months as well. They rarely score more than once, if at all. Germany's last 6 games look like this. No defeats, no goals conceded after 70 minutes, 6 games won, all games ending with 7 or more corners. They've scored 2 or more goals in the second half in 5 of those 6 games. And they've had 7.7 shots on target per 90 minutes. That ranks them second across all World Cup teams. For more data like this and to explore thousands of teams, just check out our football form guide, link in the description. Now, the odds often tell the story of the game, certainly in the eyes of the bookmakers, and we can see here 1.5 being offered for under 3.5 goals. We know about Ecuador's solid defense. They're going to have to go for this, which will leave gaps for Germany. So how many goals will we see in this game? Let us all know in the comments. This is my first selection then. Germany to score in the second half, as they have done in many of their recent games. I think they will break down this Ecuador team, who does need to do something that they don't often do, which is score a goal. And under 4 goals in this game, 2.5. Let me know what you would change. What would you add? Do you have a player that you like in this game for a shot on target? Get it all in the comments. And this does lean into my scoreline prediction for this game, which is 2-0 to Germany, a controlled performance. Now let's check out the other game in this group. Curaçao against Ivory Coast. Then we can see the heroics of the 0-0 there against Ecuador. This is a straight shootout for qualification in Group E. Curaçao can actually finish second if they win and Germany beat Ecuador. What a story that would be at this World Cup. But to win, as Michael Owen would say, you need to score. And that is something that Ivory Coast have done in 91% of all of their World Cup games ever. That is the highest record of any nation that has played 3 or more World Cup games. We can see the pressure monitor here from the Curaçao game against Ecuador. Average pressure of 75%. They did ride their luck a little bit. The keeper had a blinder. And given the way Ivory Coast have been playing very, very well, by the way, against Germany, unlucky not to get a winner in that game, I think Curaçao's luck is about to run out. And looking at the odds, it looks like we are heading back to reality as far as Curaçao are concerned. 1.14 for Ivory Coast to get the job done here. And because of that, I am going with a little bit more of a long shot for this game. Both teams to score and over 1 goal in the second half. Curaçao expected to sit back, of course, but they do need to go for this at some point. And I do believe they've got nothing to lose here. They've scored in 7 of their last 10 games. They scored against Germany. I don't think there's any shame in not scoring against Ecuador, given the defence that they have. And why not end this amazing World Cup journey with a bit of fight and attacking intent? You never know. From a set piece, they could get a penalty. They could be gifted a goal by a mistake. And I'm backing them to do it. But of course, I do still believe Ivory Coast will win this game. My scoreline prediction in a game that I think could open up is 4-1 to the Ivory Coast. I've been very impressed with them, especially the way they attack teams. They're a great team to watch, and I do think they'll score a few goals in this one. Now on to Group F, we have the Netherlands playing Tunisia. They are expected to win and thus top the group on 7 points. Heavy favourites to win that game. And then Japan against Sweden. Japan are on 4 points. So they are very, very likely, 99.8% according to Opta, set to go through on 4 points. For Sweden, a draw will do it, you would think. They are ranking second as things stand in the 3rd placed finishes. So they could still qualify with a defeat, but they will be so cautious not to get battered. We're going to take a look at the tips section now, and then we will put together our own. We're going to take a look at the tips section and then put together our own predictions and score predictions for these games. The tips section, link in the description by the way, is saying over 2.5 goals comes with a 7% edge, 1.81. Can this game open up, or will Sweden sit back, especially after they conceded 5 in the previous game? Japan to win at 1.94. There's a 20 place gap in the FIFA World Rankings, and Japan's recent record is much stronger. 7 wins, 2 draws and 1 defeat in the last 10. Sweden also ships 2.2 goals per game, which swings tight tournament games. OddAlerts AI, you're not wrong. Both teams to score also comes with a small 2% edge as per our probability model. Both sides have been scoring regularly, and Sweden have 0 clean sheets in their last 10 games. That is a nice stat to see. So this is my selection for this game. Both teams to score. I can't really see Japan sitting back that much in this game. Sweden, of course, why not go for it? As long as you don't get battered, I think you're probably still going to qualify. I could see this maybe being a score draw, and most cards Sweden takes this to 4s. Pretty happy with that. Japanese players, they just don't get booked that much. We looked at the data in a previous episode, and I think defensively the Japanese are quite that much better than Sweden. So there will be moments in this game where Sweden are put under real pressure, no doubt about that. And of course, they shipped 5 in the previous game. What do you think about this? What would you change? Get your predictions in the comments for your chance to win. And my score prediction for this is 1-1. I was very close to going with a 2-1 victory for Japan, but I think 1-1 will suit both teams. It's very likely that the Netherlands will get a couple of goals at least against Tunisia and win the group. And speaking of the Netherlands, I'm not going to be putting a prediction together for their game. I do have a score prediction, of course, but the odds are so low that you just find yourself adding this and that and this. And then by the end of it, you have so many options and the odds are not that great. That's what the bookies want you to do. They want you to try and predict the whole game. And there's no value in that. But my score prediction is 3-0 to the Netherlands. And from 3 a.m. we have Group D. The USA already through with 6 points, of course, as winners because they beat Australia, of course. So even if Australia win, it doesn't really matter. They'll want to get a perfect record here against Turkey, who have been abysmal. But I do have a feeling if Pochettino is rotating, the US have gone through this whole week knowing that they're going to top the group. I do think that can have an impact psychologically, that you're coming up to this final game. You almost just want this final game to be out of the way. And that does lean into my predictions for this one. And Paraguay against Australia could be an interesting game as well. We're going to combine the predictions just as we did in yesterday's video on the final games. And this is an interesting game because I believe both teams would take a point if you offered it to them right now. Paraguay certainly will fear Australia and the way that they played against Turkey. And Australia might need to play like that again. Paraguay are not the best team in terms of their attacking output. So things do point towards a draw for this game. So we are making a combined selection. It's been requested many times in the comments on previous videos. I'm not going to do it for every game, but these final group games, when they're being played at the same time, it kind of makes sense to do it for at least one of the groups. So Turkey against USA, BTTS and over 2.5 goals at evens. As I mentioned before, the USA, they've had a week of knowing that they're going to top the group given previous results. They've done well, they've earned the rest. They probably will want to go for a perfect record, but they don't need to exert themselves that much and they can afford to rotate. And Turkey will want a little bit of respect back from their nation. They are in a very, very bad place right now, and this is the last chance to put in some kind of performance, to score a goal. And if you look at the data, they have had so much possession, so many shots. I think a goal is coming for them. And in Paraguay, Australia, both teams to receive a card in a game that could be a little bit tense, a little bit tight, and I'm going to back Australia to win or draw the game. Total odds 4.3. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. What would you add? What would you change? What would you remove? Every comment automatically entered into a draw to win OddAlerts Pro. That was today. This is tomorrow. Hopefully I will see you here again, 7 a.m. sharp. Norway against France, Senegal, Iraq. Big game for Senegal, of course. One of those teams in the bottom, currently going out in terms of the third place rankings. And Norway against France, game of the day, no doubt about that. Cape Verde against Saudi Arabia. Uruguay against Spain. New Zealand against Belgium. And Egypt against Iran. Some big, big games upcoming. Hopefully I see you when I preview and make predictions for these games as well. If you've enjoyed the content, please do hit like, subscribe, and don't forget to add your predictions in the comments.